All right, episode number 2, Risk It for the Biscuit podcast. I'm Mark, and let's jump right into it. It's Monday, and so yeah, here we are. There's a lot of different things I was thinking about talking about. I had a couple ideas, and then over the weekend, a lot of different things happened as well in the news in the world, and this podcast, we just kind of talk about everything from religion to politics, economy, business, everything. So I just kind of want to touch um, a little bit on the recent events that I kind of took notice of and just comment on those. And just some other things that I was thinking about as I was starting this podcast. And, it was episode 2, so obviously very early, but we're going to keep working on it. And I'm actually pretty excited. It's been pretty tough to get this one going, this second one. And I'm naturally kind of a perfectionist, but I think as I just keep going, it's going to be good. It's going to get better, and I'm excited to kind of follow that and see it. And so yeah, if I am going to be speaking as if the person watching this, you have a phone, you have social media, and you kind of are aware of recent events. One of the things that I noticed and obviously saw here in America this past weekend was the situation in Memphis with the Tyree Nichols and the police brutality. Obviously, a tragic situation, and thoughts and prayers, of course, with the family. And it just really kind of sucks that the state of the world that we're in, I would say the frequency of these types of tragic situations. It's like it happens, and as a society, I feel like a lot of us have been really desensitized to this. Right? We're in the scrolling society, right? We have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything. We see all these events, we see the things taking place in the world, and we're kind of just like, yeah, and it's like another thing, and it really sucks. And because it's human lives that are being affected by this, and unless it kind of happens to you, uh, we don't really react to it, or we don't really, like I said, we're kind of desensitized to it. It's really weird time to be alive, I think, but nonetheless, um, that's kind of where we're at with the whole situation. I really honestly didn't follow much into it. Um, I kind of just saw some tweets about it, some of the stuff that was posted about it. I think there were protests happening across the country, and a little bit. And I don't recall seeing anything in Atlanta. We kind of had a different situation. I believe a week ago there was something with Antifa or something, and then Kemp called in the National Guard, so there was already a lot of law enforcement and whatnot strolling around um, when everything kind of took place. And I find it really weird, or not weird, I guess strange. Growing up in school, right, we learned a lot about, I mean, a lot. We learned about, the government, the U.S. government. We learned about, protesting, peaceful protesting, how that's something in this country we have the right to do. I remember, they would teach us, all the way back the early 1900s, the women's marches for rights. Then, of course, Martin Luther King, peaceful protesting marches. They had the diner sit-ins, the bus protests, all this stuff. And maybe there were violent protests back in the day as well, but just the way they taught in the schools, and the way I always had it pictured in my mind was just peaceful protests, right? People marching, um, you know, and just keeping things peaceful. But in this country, the idea was that in this country we have the right to voice our frustrations with government, or with the things that we're unhappy about, the things we want to see change in. And that was always kind of the idea that I had of it. Obviously, 2020 changed that, and we saw the protests, become violent and all that. And I always, if you think about it logically, right, it's kind of, I don't understand point of not the protest. You can protest, but the part of causing, havoc, the part of destroying property. And it was interesting as I mean, if you just kind of monitor, I always I try to monitor and then uh, say something or having to form my own opinion. I think it's actually in the Bible, right? Be quick to listen and slow to speak, type of thing. But it's like you hear from that side of the people that they say, okay, this is unjust. We have to change something, and they call for protests. You hear politicians from the left, calling for protests to go out and make your voice heard, but also it's almost like the underlying thing there is, to just wreak havoc, destroy property. And at first, for the first part is that it doesn't make sense. You're destroying property of people and even organizations that have nothing to do with the the injustice or the situation that took place. It has nothing to do with that. And like in 2020, for example, a lot of restaurant owners, business owners, local people that they're just trying to make a living, right? So they have nothing to do with the thing that happened, and you're just destroying their property. So it's just an overall net negative. You're putting a negative situation to and adding it to it with another negative thing. But then that same group of people, the left, they'll call for violent protests to have your voice heard. But then they're also the same group of people that's telling you to vote for them. If you just think about that, it doesn't make sense to me, because that we're calling for the protest, the violence. It's an act, it's a kind of a cry for change, and then they're telling you, okay, but then also don't forget to vote. So I'm like, kind of like, what are we? I guess what are we trying to do? you know, is it the protest that's going to bring the change, or is it the vote? And you're voting for the same people that are okay with the violence, and it seems like a never-ending loop, and it's really sad. Um, I feel like that a lot of things, a lot of especially tragic situations today, they end up being politicized. I think it's like I believe the term is like opportunistic politics. Like every opportunity, all these politicians, and I really noticed that the past year with the Ukraine situation, uh, a lot of politics, and the sad part is that the individuals who are using it for their gain, like the politicians, they're not affected by it. The only way they're affected by it is their status, their position, their bank accounts. And the people that are actually affected by it, they have nothing to do with it. And that's like that in every, you kind of look across every tragic situation, and that's kind of the pattern that you see. I think it's very sad that that's how the world works. But that's the world we live in. That's kind of the thing we gotta uh, go through. And I have faith that, first of all, I believe in God, so I think He's still working things for good. I believe that personally, and I believe that also there are people in the world who are kind of being raised up, or they're seeing this, and they're working towards bringing change. I personally just have hope for that. Um, Although it does seem like the world is getting crazier and crazier, you know, you get like if you're on social media 24/7 reading the news, I don't understand how you're like saying it's pretty wild. Um, I was getting ready to film this, and you see on social media there was a suicide bomber in Pakistan. There's over the weekend, a U.S. general made a claim that he expects for the U.S. to be at war with China in 2025, And I mean, first of all, if that's the case, I don't understand why a general is telling that to the public. I don't get that. I didn't look into this either. I'm just, that makes no sense to me. Even if he does think that, yeah, let's just tell the whole world. Obviously makes no sense there. But yeah, crazy times we're living in. Crazy, crazy times that we are living in. The world is, I think, hurting. But I still think there is hope. And yeah, couple other things. I guess let's just go on to the next thing here. I'm still working kind of the formatting, obviously, for the podcast. You see, there's no big changes yet. The way I want to kind of go through it, right? And kind of the layout of it. It's still a work in progress. And one of the things I was thinking about last week as I started is that, whenever you start something new, it's a very, I would say, sensitive time period, right? From the early stages of it. It's very easy to quit on the early stages of it. It's very easy to kind of just not really get it off the ground. And I've experienced that a lot in my life. The amount of businesses with my brothers, with my brother, cousins, just all the ideas that we would start, and then it would fall apart, right? The amount of things you would start, you would get this great idea. This is going to be awesome. Even with the podcast, like I said in the first one, this is like my third, fourth attempt at this. And honestly, it's like I would almost didn't even want to do the second one. But I kind of wanted to stick it out. And on that topic of starting something, starting something new, whether it be a business, whether you're starting to work out, whether you are, I don't know, starting a new project, starting school, whatever it is, see, there's something that I've noticed that happens. And one thing that you should kind of keep in mind whenever you're starting something new is you don't have to tell everybody, and honestly, I wouldn't even tell anybody when you're just starting, whatever it is, just start. And that's something that I've been struggling with this. And it's something that, because I like telling people, what's going on. People ask, hey, what are you up to? And I want to tell them. And I'm even recording this with the assumption that no one's going to hear this, no one's going to watch this, which is fine. But like I'm saying, I have to get started. I have to learn. And right now, I'm using this as an opportunity to learn, about editing, about software, or whatever, about posting, about, I'm focusing on doing the little things. And I think, this is episode 2. By episode 10, I can get more help on this, right? Because obviously I don't know what's going on. I don't know everything, but I have people around me that kind of know more about this. So episode 10, episode 15, I can get more help. I can make the process of this better. But anyway, where I was going with this, when you're first starting something, it's better to not tell people about it, that you're starting it. What I've noticed is you start something, you tell Billy Joe, you tell, whoever else, you tell 5 other people, and you go into it with your own ideas, right? This is how I want to do it. I want to first work on this. Once I work on that, once I get that done, I'm going to move on to the second, the third, the fourth thing. But what happens is you tell 5 of your friends, right? You tell 5 people, for example, hey, I'm starting to go to the gym. And those 5 people, they're going to tell you all of a sudden, they're excited. Oh, you're starting something new. Great. Go to the gym, you're starting a business. And all these people have their own experiences, have their own ideas, and have their own way of viewing it. And so what happens is you think, hey, I'm going to tell them. You're kind of you're kind of telling them because you're hoping for support. You're hoping, just them to encourage you, whatever. But what happens is they start giving you their own advice from their own perspective with their own ideas. And it's not obviously hopefully the people around you that you're telling, hopefully they're not telling you this from a bad place, right? Hopefully they're not, oh, it's not going to work. You should do this, whatever. hopefully it is positive. But even if it is positive advice, even if it is positive encouragement, what happens is it oftentimes confuses you because these five different people, they have different viewpoints, they have different life experiences. Maybe they've tried the thing you're trying to do, right? I mean, if we think about it from working out, all these people, if they have gone to the gym, one of them's gonna say, okay, I mean, I've never worked out, whatever. I've never had a diet. Others are gonna tell you you have to do it this way, right? This is the only way to get results, right? Um, and it kind of just confuses you. It messes you up, and you end up not even you end up getting so frustrated. I mean, that's how I've seen it in my life. Is you end up getting so frustrated. You're like, yeah, I might as well not even try. I might as well not. I mean, this is too confusing. This is too complicated. If there's so many different ways to do something, why am I even going to try? But what I've found to be most successful is you just start. You just get your phone. You just get your phone. You just get a little software thing, and you just start figuring it out. I remember it came. I help out on my dad's company right now, and I came and I started working there. I didn't work there originally, but I started working there, and I had the task and the challenge of coming up with uh, kind of an inventory system and an invoicing system for the shop, right? They had semi trucks and whatnot, and I'd come every day, and I would have these ideas, but it wasn't until I just started trying, working with the mechanics, working with, the other office people, trying to kind of, uh, you know, trial and error per se. And it was only then that I was able to see success, right? If I was just sitting around telling people, hey, I'm starting this, I'm starting that, everybody has their own little way of doing it, but you just have to start. It might be clunky, it might be it might be kind of, you know, not the best quality of work. You might make, well, you will make mistakes. You'll make a lot of mistakes. Um, but that's the best way to do it. Just start. Just start. I think people spend so much time, waiting for the perfect everything, right? Waiting for the perfect situation, waiting for the kind of the stars to align, you know, especially with social media and with, I think, content creation. Everybody wants it to be perfect. Um, but you just got to start. Um, I would find, it's what I call it in, I guess the the term I've given it is too many voices, right? You have too many voices and too many opinions coming at you. If you want to be successful in something, you got to just pick it, make a plan and focus. You can't have these too many voices. Um, I would pick, two, three people that you actually trust, two to three people that are just gonna, they're not gonna kind of distract you. They're just gonna support you in the mistakes you make and go from there. And sometimes people will still give you advice. I found that in life too. Advice that you didn't ask for, advice that you don't really need, um, and whatnot. And people will do that sometimes. But that's one of those things that you kind of just have to be, I would say, be polite. You don't have to, tell the people off. But, um, the expression says, eat the meat, spit out the bones type of thing. That's one of the other things too, is a lot of people, I see this as people start arguing with others, right? Someone comes and says, "Hey, you should be doing it this way." No, I'm gonna do it my way. Whatever. You gotta kind of pick your battles here. Not everyone. You don't have to explain everything to everyone. Some people, they start giving you advice. They start telling you, and you just gotta nod. And you just gotta smile. And I mean, and don't listen to anything they say, but just be respectful and whatever. Um, because, but yeah, that's just one thing I was thinking about, and because starting this, I haven't really told anybody, and I don't really want to tell anybody yet. It's only episode 2. That's not anything. That's literally nothing. So I don't want to kind of be discouraged by telling somebody, and then they kind of give their own take on it, on what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. I can already hear the advice. You should have lights, you should have a microphone, blah 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 blah. You just got to start. It's gonna get better as you start. You're gonna be thinking about whatever you're working on. You're gonna get more ideas. And then once you're in a month, 2 months, 3 months, I think then you can ask for advice, because then it's specific advice, right? When you're first starting off, it's very vague advice. What should I be doing? What should I be talking about? What should I, like with the podcast right now, like what should I be talking about, right? How should I format it? I don't know. But yeah, it's a learning process. It's all a learning process. I'm excited. Again, I still think this is so clunky and whatnot. And I'm not used to talking just into a camera for this long. But we'll work on it, man. It's January. It's crazy. It's already January of 2023. That is wild. So we got what? February, March, April. We got three months, man. Supposed to graduate in May. So we'll see how all that goes. I'm excited to graduate. I'm going to be talking a lot about school after I graduate. My thoughts on education as well. I feel like I came up with a pretty genius plan for education. But we'll see. We'll talk about that as well. Let's see here. Another thing I wanted to see, I saw this week. I like sports, right? I watched sports last night. It was the Eagles and Niners playing, and then the Chiefs Bengals. Man, the Chiefs Bengals, that was tough. I saw on on Twitter, rigged NFL or NFL rigged was trending, so that's tough. The officiating is horrible. But anyway, I don't really want to talk about sports on here as much because no one really cares. But I saw a whole thing with there was a video they were posting about Brock Purdy, and as I was watching it, I thought it was really cool. He was talking about Jesus. He was talking about his relationship with Jesus. He was talking about sin, and I think it was kind of like not abusing grace and stuff like that. But it was really, really interesting. And it was because kind of the climate and obviously the world that we're in today in 2023, we're seeing a lot of stuff, where I would call it right is wrong and wrong is right. And the world is just going crazy and crazy. But I think it's so cool. It's kind of the thought I had. There's a verse I believe in Isaiah 60. It says like darkness will overtake, but God's light will shine, right? God's light will still shine. And it talks about how, the darker the times get, but God's light is still going to shine brighter. And I think it was so cool. Like just Brock Purdy's whole story, right? Last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. They got two quarterbacks ahead of him, both get hurt. He comes in 7-0 or whatever he is as a starter. And then he has this opportunity to, he could be doing anything with this opportunity, last pick of the draft. I'm sure, he's, getting endorsements now, all that, but he also took this opportunity with the spotlight on him to witness about Jesus. And I think that's so incredible that God is placing people, in the midst of all this craziness that we're seeing. God's still kind of placing people not in the correct, but he's still placing people in these positions. And I think we're going to see more of that going forward, especially 2023, the next 3-5 years. I think you're going to see a lot more people kind of being bold about their faith, being more unashamed. All these people with their whatever agendas. I think it's only right for people to be more bold about Jesus, and I think it's exciting to see a young kid like that. And I love reading comments or whatever because you see a post, right? You see a tweet from, say, a big account or a big person, right? But then I like seeing what people have to say, and I think some people were commenting on that. They were like, "Oh, like that's cool that he's saying this, but he was like a bad person in high school. He bullied me in high school, like a couple people." And I was like, "Man, well, maybe, but I think that's also a testimony." I think people are trying to bash him right now that he's standing there talking about Jesus, but I think that's also a testimony about Jesus and the transformation and the transforming work that takes place when Jesus, uh, really enters someone's heart. Uh, I don't know Brock Purdy obviously, but yeah, I imagine growing up being a star football player, it's a different life. But then when you encounter Jesus, things change. It's kind of my own testimony as well. Everything completely changed, and uh, that's interesting. It's just interesting to me how when someone comes out witnesses Jesus, and then people try to take away from that by saying, "Oh, he used to be a bad person," but it's like they're saying that thinking that's gonna kind of bring him down, when in reality that's actually highlighting more about the reality, more about the goodness and Jesus, because that's what it is. I think people kind of get that uh, um, misconception about Christians, is that they think they're better than other people. But no, no, no. That's actually the whole point of Jesus, is saying, yeah, that's who I used to be. Without Jesus, I'm not a good person, man. I was not a good person before him, and so yeah, I think he changes things, and so that's cool, man. Good for Brock Purdy. Excited for him. Obviously, kind of they lost last night, but he got hurt too. We'll see how all that turns out. How it turns out for him. Hopefully the Jets get a quarterback. Yeah, that's one thing I'll be following along. If you don't know me, I mean, no one probably knows me watching this, but I'm a Jets fan. I am planning on kind of telling this story because I always get asked, "Are you from New York?" I'll wear Jets stuff. Are you from New York? No. Why the heck are you a Jets fan, man? It's kind of I guess it's a cool story. But I've been a Jets fan for a while. A while. I think over 10 years for sure. Over 10 years for sure. So, yeah, man. We'll see how it goes. One thing I was thinking about too, the plan here is to do this every Monday. Um, I feel like that's such a long time though. We might even move to two times a day. Um, my goal is to get to 100 episodes and kind of see where we go from there. Obviously, if you do one a week, do the math, that's like 2 years. But we might move to twice once we get to like episode 20-ish or something. We might move to two times a week to kind of speed that up. Um, and man, I have a plan for this. It's weird because before I started this one, I didn't really want to. I didn't really want to keep going, but I feel a little bit better. Again, clunky. I don't know if I said everything the right way. I don't know if this was engaging, entertaining, boring. I don't know, but we'll see. I think it'll be cool to look back on in 3 years on this one, see how far we came, and yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning. Need more stuff to talk about for sure. Think need to prepare a little bit better as well. But yeah, episode 2. I think I'm just gonna stop it there for now. I got other stuff to do today, and we're gonna keep working. Gonna get some more equipment. Gonna try to come up with more of a plan here. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. And dang, 29 minutes. So obviously the goal for the podcast, I think, longer form. But yeah, that's it for today. Episode 2. I'll see y'all next Monday. That's it. Have a good one. Have a good week. Peace.